So it's another Thursday at 7 o'clock here in my area of the town. Of course, this is The Conversation, outspoken and opinionated. My name is Edwin Maya, and I'm here today. It is the final, I would say, episode of the theme Black Women in Politics. This is going to be amazing. We have two amazing powerhouse with us today. And so we're asking you guys to join in. We're asking you to log in. However way you are watching this show, we're asking you to get in here. Of course, if you have not subscribed yet, we're asking you to go to YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube page. It's The Conversation, outspoken and opinionated. And of course, on Instagram, we are The Conversation with another N and underscore. And on Facebook, we are The Conversation, outspoken and opinionated. Again, like I said, we are looking at the theme Black Women in Politics. We started off with, of course, our amazing Sivette Gibson. We went to Sia Fena. We had Casey Manyanen. Today we have Madam Edith Gongloe-Weh and Representative Naquetta Ricks of Colorado State. And so today is going to be amazing. This has been an amazing time, I would say, for us who are, around the world, for everyone around the world. Black women in politics, women have stepped up to the plate. And like I'll say, and everyone say, it's like these women are breaking down the glass ceiling, and they are walking through these doors that society has labeled that said it was these territories or only men territories. And so it's super amazing that these things are happening. And so we are just grateful for everything. We're asking, this is amazing that, everything works out great. It's just one of these things that, everything is going to be good. Like I said earlier, we have an amazing show today. And so it's just going to be a powerhouse. And so we're asking, I hope you guys get ready for this because this is going to be great. Of course, I am your conversationalist, Edwin J. Maya, the host of the show. As we finalize the segment again, like I said, on Black Women in Politics, it's been extremely, extremely educational. I've had the opportunity to talk with some amazing women in politics, people that have given us education, but then also given us practicality when it comes to, women going into politics, or women, talking about family, talking about their kids, and all the issues that they have had as they had, just strive in this political arena. And so I'm super excited. I don't know about you guys are watching, but I am super, super excited because I know the wealth of knowledge is going to be amazing. We have great women who are ready to tell us the secret, because I want to know the secret. Because what I said earlier is that I think these women who are making strides in politics, for example, I'm always super excited to say this because Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf was the first, female president in Africa. And all these women who have paved the way now for little girls to see that, yes, if they can be president, if they can be these political leaders, I can do it too. And so, there are so many people that have paved the way. There are so many people that have been part of this. And so I started a little something for you guys to see these people who have made it true. And so, of course, we look at Barbara Jordan, Kamala Harris, Karen Bass, and Shirley Chisholm. But the funny thing is Shirley Chisholm was one of the main people who started this. She, of course, the first Black woman who dared to run for president in the United States. And she made it up until convention, and then, of course, she lost. But so many things have happened, and we'll have a little clip here for you guys to see
Wawa's delicious and crunchy breakfast lunch paninis.
What really happened.
Test as yet that indicates that man has a superiority of gray cranial matter over women.
Shirley Chisholm was an outspoken Black woman. And she was in politics way before Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama made history.
But I knew I would be in trouble because the moment that the announcement was made that I was going to make a bid for the presidency, all hell broke loose.
Chisholm was the first African-American woman elected to Congress. She ran for president as a Democrat in 1972 and made it to the National Convention, but lost her bid for nomination. Her pursuit for the presidency wasn't easy. Chisholm had to sue to get into TV debates and was the target of several assassination attempts while campaigning. Chisholm was ahead of her time. Although she stood up for minorities, she struggled to secure votes from women and the Black community. But she paved a path.
I believe we are intelligent enough to recognize the talent, energy, and dedication which all Americans, including women and minorities, have to offer.
Bernice, I'm Melissa Prax.
Yeah, but okay, give me 1 second. Yeah. So, yes, of course, like I was saying earlier, this we have so many people who have made it into this thing, and so it's super excited for us to just see all these different things that have happened and all these different things that are making sure. Of course, for those who are watching again, we are having some technical difficulties, so I need to attend. I'm sorry, guys. It's live. The calendar invitation. Yep. But without further ado, I'm going to bring in Representative Ricks into the broadcast. Welcome. welcome. It's good to have you. We are super excited for today. Just for you honoring our invitation and wanting to be here with us is amazing.
Thank you.
If you can just tell the people who you are and some of the great things that you're doing in the state of Colorado.
Hi, thank you so much, Edwin, for having me on your Outspoken show. I'm thrilled to be a guest, and thanks for honoring Black women in politics. It's a hard journey, but it's a journey that's really worth it so that, we can be represented. We come from typically underserved, underrepresented communities in these spaces and places that we go. So it's great to be here. My name is Representative Naquetta Ricks from the great state of Colorado. And I was elected last November and started my first session as a freshman representative in the Colorado State House. It's been really a fascinating experience. Going to these things, you don't know what to expect. I've been to the state capitol many times. However, sitting there and that becoming your office and where you're promulgating laws and legislating, that's a whole different thing. So, it's still a learning curve, but I've been so blessed to be able to pass some phenomenal bills that are going through, and the work that is coming through by the legislature is just phenomenal right now. It's amazing. We're really seizing the moment and looking at everything from an equity, diversity, and inclusion standpoint. And so it's been an honor, and it's still a great honor to be serving.
And we are super excited because we have seen, so like I told you earlier, my niece, super excited because she lives in the state of Colorado. She's like, oh my God, there is this lady, you have to see her. And she would send me all your links and everything going through your campaigns and everything. And I was super excited because for me, it wasn't the fact that yes, one of the main things was because it was a woman, but then it was a woman that I could identify with because there's some Liberian in there. And so for me, I was super excited. I was like this because I say this, and sometimes, some of my friends get a little bit offended. And I say, you know what? I think what people put out there about Liberia, apart from Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, is so negative. And so when people can see that Liberians are doing other things and we are doing great things, I'm excited and I'm ready to celebrate. But we have Madam Edith who's going to join us. I can promise you that she's going to join us, but we will start. Like I said, they wrote the note. Congratulations again for winning, and I appreciate it. You coming here. But first, I want to ask you, when was it? When was the first time that you realized that? I think I want to get into politics.
That's a great question. And I get asked that. So I never saw myself as a politician. So this was not like oh gosh, I'm growing up and I'm going to be a politician. My background's in accounting. I have an MBA. I've owned my own small business. I'm an entrepreneur. I've worked in corporate America, some public accounting, also done a lot of internal auditing, etc. But, I think it was like 2013 when I was approached to do some political training. And I had already been very active in my community, serving on different boards. I served with the public education school board, not as an elected official, but like the foundation school board where we were raising money for kids to go to college. I've done a lot of different things just throughout communities, supporting different organizations. And I also own my own nonprofit now and run that. But just being community minded and wanting to give back. So I was asked to run by a group called Emerge. And that was the second class of women that were going through the program. And they asked then, well, do you see yourself as a politician? I said, well, no, I would like to do the political training just so that I can continue to serve on boards in the community. And then I was asked, well, if you were to run for office, what would you run for? And I thought something in education. Growing up as a Liberian, my family really stressed education, getting the best education. Going to college was never an option, not an option. That was the only option. You're going to go to college. So, and that's what my parents instilled in me. So I thought, well, yeah, education. So I went through the political training class and it taught us how to present yourself, how to raise money, how to, write a stump speech, all the little nuts and bolts of what you need as a politician. And so I ran for the Board of Regents, which is a statewide seat. I got over 100,000 votes in that election in 2014. However, it was not enough to win, and I did not win. So, but what I did get was the experience of knocking on the doors and engaging people in my community, specifically the immigrant community, knocking on their doors, learning about this community. I know that we didn't get involved really in the off-year elections, but we always were very excited about the presidential elections. So it was like, well, how do we keep getting these people engaged? I also liked hearing about their dreams. People would say, yeah, I want this for my family and I want this for my kids. And this is how I want the state to look. And so I took all of that in mind and I really loved engaging. It was like a natural thing with, the community. So, I then ran again for city council in 2017 and I didn't win. I came in third. And then, of course, I ran again for this election in 2020. But I guess, so it's been a 7-year journey. And, as far as being a politician, I would say that I'm not the typical politician. I'm in politics, but I really want people to know that, politics are local. And that's where all of the decisions are made, whether that's at the city council level, state representative or the school board. These are the people who make decisions and promulgate laws that impact you right there in your community. So it's important that we get involved in every election.
Awesome. And so what you said it's amazing because the two ladies prior to you said the same thing that when I did the show. They said it takes at least 3 times for you to run to get where you need to get to. But then I want to ask you a question. When you showed interest in being a representative, what kind of feedback did you get from your friends and family?
So, after running, so that wasn't just like, I just showed up. I had been doing this for a while. So I think people see that there is truly a desire to serve. So from family members and close people, they were like, okay, well, Quita's going again, but after a while, after not winning, and running, because it takes a lot of dedication. You still have to work. I mean, for me, I still work. I still run my business, still have to make a living. And, then put in all these hours of making the phone calls, making the appearances, doing the speeches, the interviews and all of that. So, there were some people that were very supportive, and then there were others that were like, well, maybe, maybe you need to get that thing up, man, because it don't look like working for you, so, or maybe it's not meant to be. And, seemingly, you can take so many messages based on what's going on around you. But I think for me, it was a real desire to serve and knowing that I have something to offer, and just wanting to make a difference and to be a voice in these areas, because I think our voices, the voices of the immigrant communities, low income communities, they're not typically represented. I didn't really see too many, anybody in the state capital in Colorado that had an accent or had come through the lived experiences that I, in the places and things that I've gone through. So I think those voices are important, especially from the community that I represent. I'm coming from Aurora, which is a very diverse community here in Colorado, where at least 1 out of every 4 persons say that they're from another country. So, so it's important to have all of these voices there. So, there's mixed, right? Mixed signals. Some people were supportive, some people weren't so supportive, some people were kind of like, well, I'll just watch from the sidelines.
Exactly.
But hey, and then some people like, well, who do you think you are? Why are you running? What have you done? So it's like you get all of these different voices, but you can't listen to the voice of the market, right? Because there's all kind of stuff coming at you. You got to be focused and know why you're doing it. And the why, and that why has to be the thing that motivates you and keeps you going. So, yeah.
And so I want to ask you this question, because I know previously you said that there was a group that literally came up to you and wanted you to run for office. But how many times did people come up to you and said, I think you should run for office? And how many times did you say no, if you said no at all?
Well, so Emerge asked me, do you want to run for office? And that was a group that did political training, right? And so that's how I got my background. And then, different ones would say different things. But I think once I got my feet wet after the first campaign, I continued to stay involved in my community. So it wasn't like, one and done and you just go sit down. I continued to engage. I continued to build on basically your brand of who you are, what you stand for, being there for the community, helping, providing information. One of the things that I am also the president of the African Chamber of Commerce here in Colorado. So, during the pandemic, we were like a voice that was right on the scene, bringing really valuable information about resources and things that were available for our community. And it was such a time where nobody understood what was going on. Everything shut down and you're just there. So we were able to start doing these town halls where we were engaging community, trying to bring out information for the small businesses, bring out information about, how to get the food that you needed, how to get, healthcare, how to get whatever it was that you needed, rent support, because now you weren't working anymore. But I think just being involved, being present, going to places, showing up on the scene is a big part of it. So people then see you as someone that they can trust and someone who can represent them. And that's important to build trust with your community.
So, like I said, from previous people that I've had on the show, there was one similar thing that all the women have said is that there's either been a legislation, has been a policy that really sparked them to run for office. And so I want to ask you, what legislation or policy provoked your candidacy to run for political office?
I would say that in this last presidency, right, when we were hearing stuff about how immigrants were, from asshole countries, and that, Latino immigrants were, rapists. All of those kind of negative rhetoric about immigrants and what they represent and who they are really, really angered me. And so I think that gave me the the spunk that I needed to kind of step back up on the scene and say, well, that's not who immigrants are. This is who, I'm going to represent. I'm going to present who immigrants really are. I mean, we're taxpayers, we're entrepreneurs, we're people who contribute so much to the economy of this country and to, the culture of the country. So I think it was very important to have immigrant voices, at the state capitol. And that was one of the things that really, really, truly inspired me to run in 2020.
And so, you announce it, you're running in 2020. I mean, I can just imagine the excitement. It's going on. But I wanted to ask you, as a Black woman in America, what were your initial setback when you enter your campaign?
So I think, some of the things that Black women face, and which was not for me as well, raising funds sometimes can be a limitation, right? Getting the capital to run. I was able to raise roughly about $15,000 for my primary election, whereas my counterpart, who my opponent, I should say, who got all of the endorsements, he also had the support of the party. He had, what they call soft money backing him, and basically they had 10 times or 12 times more money because there was over $160,000 spent for him in the election against me compared to my 15,000. So, so that was a big issue there, right? And we also had the pandemic, which was like something that was just totally like, whoa, now what do we do? So it got really interesting because now you have to kind of think about how do you connect with your audience and the people that you need to, because we couldn't knock doors, we couldn't do the ground game, we couldn't do any of that. So it turned out to be quite interesting, because of all this whole COVID and the pandemic thing. But I would say raising money was one of my biggest challenges.
Well, I told you, I said she was coming. I knew this was going to happen. So on the conversation, we have Madam Edith Gongloe-Weh. We say,
all right.
Welcome.
Hi.
Can you hear me? But we can't hear you. Oh no.
She'll be back.
But this is what happened. I've gotten so used to it that I'd be like, oh, it will happen. She will come back. But yeah, and so there she is. But what you said is similar to what there she is. Can you hear us? We can hear you. Can you hear us?
Hello? Yes, I'm hearing you.
Yeah.
The problem we're going to have, here's the thing though, guys. I'm traveling on the highway, so there will be dropping calls. I just want you to be prepared for that.
No problem. This is what I tell people. This is a live show and things happen. So just the fact that you are traveling, you got on your phone to do this for me, we appreciate you. So, Representative Ricks, I'm going to go to Madam Gongloe-Weh, since she's just coming in. I'm just going to shoot out the questions to her. So you can take a break.
No problem.
Yeah, there you go. But it's good to have you on the show. I appreciate you. I want everybody to know that Grace said I can call you NC Edith. So I'm going to call you NC Edith because Grace gave me the go ahead to do that.
Yes.
Good. But thank you so much. And when I started the show, I wanted people to understand the strength that's in women running for office. I think sometimes people see it and it's like, it's another woman. Yeah, she's going to do this. But we're going to be talking now to the strength of a woman that actually ran a campaign in Liberia, West Africa, in Nimba County. And I don't think people understand the things that go with it. And so I just want to ask you, NC Edith, when did this first happen? When did you just think, maybe I should run for office? I should run for senator. What sparked this in you?
Well, about 12 to 15 years ago, if anybody would have told me that I would be running for office anywhere in the world, let alone Liberia, I would have told the person, you got to be out of your mind. But going back to Liberia and working in a county with the locals and seeing the disconnect between the people at the subnational level and national government, I sort of came face to face with the challenges that our people were facing. And so at that point, I realized that something needed to be done, because in order for government to come close to the people and the people close to their government, it has to be someone who has lived with them, who understands their plight, who understands their situation. And so that was what really encouraged me to even listen to a call from majority of the citizens that I should run for office.
So you decided to run for office.
Hello, are you hearing me?
Yes,
Okay.
we hear you. We heard you loud and clear.
Yes.
So you decided to run for office, and I know you have to tell your family. So tell us the reaction when you tell your family that this is something I'm about to do.
My family was split. Obviously, my daughter Grace, she didn't even want to hear any of that. In fact, she was like, "That's not your place, mom." But my husband was in full support.
Wow.
So was other extended, were other extended family members. My son was like, "Okay, if you want to do it, that's fine. But if you ask me, I would tell you no." So it was that kind of the, split. It was not like a wholesome support. And the reason why some of them didn't want to agree was because they were afraid of all of the risks associated with running for public office, especially in Liberia.
Mm-hmm.
So their objection was purely based on love. It was based on concern. It was based on their fears. And I could totally understand that. In addition to not having the resources, they just knew that this was not something that was going to be good. So I totally understood all of them, but I continued to assure them that, let's go with it. And I think somewhere, somehow, we're going to put this through.
So like I told Representative Riggs, there were a couple of other people that have had on the show, and they said that women for women, it takes you guys a longer time to say yes to the call. So I want to ask you, how many times did it take you to say yes to that call?
Actually, it took me no time to run. It took me a lot more time to serve in government at the level of the executive. Because, put this in context, I was in this country when 2005, Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, after winning the presidency, asked me in 2006 to return home with her for her campaign.
Yes.
And so the usual thing is you help in campaign, and then when the campaign succeeds, the principal then asks you or makes an offer. But in my case, I had told Madam President at the time that my support for you has nothing to do with wanting any type of executive job. I just wanted the leadership for our country. I was not prepared to leave America. And so she did not relent. She insisted, and after 3 years, I made that decision to return home. And so when I went home, it was really to work with the government to help the Sirleaf administration succeed in Nimba. So I served as superintendent. It was my service at the county level as superintendent that encouraged me, because then I came face to face with some of the problems that the with real engagement with their political leaders who whether some of those problems could be solved through public policy intervention. And so that was the change for me, working in Liberia and specifically in Nimba as the superintendent, very close to the people on the ground and then close to the problems that were being faced, close to some of the lapses that we solved through appropriate legislations and advocacies. And that was for me the turning point in Liberia.
And that's
so it didn't take me a long time, know, to get to politics. Immediately once once the citizens saw the good work that I had done as superintendent with them, they petitioned me that, look, if you serve this well as our superintendent, we think you can even do us way better as our senator. And so I was petitioned by a cross-section of the citizens of Nimba, both male and females, and the young people. The young people were extremely inspired, along with the women. And so I could not say no at that point, because I think, at that point I wanted to continue the work that I had started as superintendent, and I feel I could do way better as a senator that would have explicit independence to make decisions that will only be in the interest of the people.
Amazing. And so, I look at it in the sense where it's like, we're in America and we have everything, we have a pretty good, decent life, but you're taking that opportunity to move into Liberia to assist the people of Liberia. For me, that's where I see this patriotism, because it's extremely important for people to understand that, when people who have lived a certain lifestyle in Liberia, in America, you lived here and then you get up and move back, there is an unknown that people don't understand. And so before we go to Representative Ricks, I want to talk about that unknown, because the fact that you left here and went back to Liberia, yes, Madam Sirleaf, encouraged you to come and all that good stuff. But how was it for you when you started out going into the communities and talking to the people? Because they get this thing where they normally say, you haven't been here with us. How are you coming to tell anything? Like, how did you interact with these people to get them to understand that I'm so proud of you, even though I wasn't here?
Look, Edwin, and it's amazing that you asked that question, because that is one of the challenges that diaspora Liberians face when they go back home. Fortunately for me, I didn't face the problem, and I'll tell you why. I lived in Nimba, I lived in Liberia all my life until I came to the US during the war. When I got back home, I didn't project myself as an expert. I didn't project myself as being better than those that I left behind. So they saw the genuineness. They saw that connectedness with me. And so I think that helped a lot. The fact that I went in as an empathetic person. I didn't go in thinking that I was better because I lived some years in America. I didn't travel around with my water bottle on my arm. I didn't go trying to fake that I couldn't understand my vernacular. So I spoke to the people. In fact, at meetings, I would suggest speaking my local language. And I always told the people I didn't want any interpreter, I didn't need one. And so the people saw me as one of them. Even though I lived in America for about 10 years, I didn't see any connect. And so it became right with the laws. If I ever had any problem, it was more with, within the elite political circles. But with the majority of the citizens, majority of the population, I was right there with them. I hit the ground running. I didn't have to learn anything new, and nobody felt strange around me. Nobody felt that they needed to fit in. Like, oh, she came from America, maybe I had to act a certain way for her to accept me. They felt accepted. Everyone felt accepted. And I think that was for me the magic that did the work. You know, I really connected with the people, and that's why I felt I was not rejected, because the people themselves felt accepted first by me.
Great, great, great. So now we'll move into the segment where I can ask one question and both of you guys can tackle that question. Because we're going to catch
Is
up.
there a delay?
Yes, there's probably a delay, but we're fine. So what we're going to do is I'm going to ask the question, and Representative Ricks, you can go ahead and answer the question since it's a little bit delayed, and then Madam Gongloe-We can be the second person to answer. But I want to ask both of you this question. As a female politician, during your campaign or where you're at right now, has there been any question that you feel that any journalist or anybody have asked you as a woman that you feel that question would have not been asked if it was a man, or have not been asked to any other of your male counterparts?
Not really. I mean, I think most of the times when I engage with reporters, I'm engaging on the bills that I'm running. So, you know, it's like, you know what they're going to ask, or they ask about, I guess, current issues, maybe my background, that sort of thing. So, yeah, I haven't really, I don't think I've experienced any sexism, you know, as far as that right now. Not to say that that doesn't happen in politics, because of course, as a woman, you know, people pick you apart. It's like, oh, what's she wearing? You know, those kind of things. I mean, a guy can show up with his jacket, his tie, or his suit, and you don't get all of the flack like, oh, did you see what that person was wearing? You know, so I think we do get more and greater scrutiny as a woman, you know, representing, but you know, I guess it's part of it. And then I think it's okay to call people out too if they are, you know, being sexist. We had a lot of racial activity going on within our state capitol, though. So that's been pretty interesting. So I'll just say that, yeah.
Ooh, we lost signal.
Yeah,
but anyway, why she if she returns. So I wanted to ask both of you guys on a conversation I had with somebody where they were talking about, you know, is most often women who are, you know, running for office or in politics or whatever they're doing, they find a really difficult time trying to infiltrate into that political arena because of it's a gender thing, whereas more male people expect males to do it, they're not expected from a woman. So have you ever had that experience? Have you ever had an experience where you are basically looked down on because you are a woman?
You know, I mean, I think trying to integrate right now within the state capitol and understanding the politics, you know, of how people act, you know, interact there is interesting. I mean, you know, we have a wide variety of people, right? People from rural America. So, you know, the cowboys, the farmers, you got people from urban areas. And it's like there's about 65 of us in the House of Representatives that are trying to interact. And we're all there representing, you know, we've won our races. We're there representing our different communities. So, yeah, I think, you know, you're trying to find your place. I'm trying to think of a specific interaction. Like I said, most of the interactions have been like, I think from a racially charged type of thing, you know, going on where people have made comments within the house, or like, you know, on an elevator. I had a conversation with one of the lawmakers from rural Colorado, and it was right after the Boulder shootings. We just had like 10 people get shot at a supermarket. I'm sure you heard about that here in Colorado. And so basically they were trying to do this spin to say that this is, well, we need to talk about Chicago, black on black crime, and all of this stuff. And this guy is, and I'm thinking, well, what relevance does this have? I said, well, I'm not a lawmaker in Chicago. I'm a lawmaker here in Colorado. And this is what we need to do here in Colorado. Well, let's talk about Chicago, so, you could tell that he was trying to get into a place that was, because of a racist kind of remark that he was really making. And so that all came to a head when the members of the Black Caucus for the state, basically we kind of did a press conference and talked about the different interactions that we've had where people have done things that we felt were, leaning toward racism. And so we put it out there, and we said that we're not going to let it distract us, because that's what they're trying to do, is to distract you off your game, which is we're trying to tear down some of these systemic racist laws and policies that have impacted communities of the Black community, Latino community, and the immigrant communities. So so that's a recent thing that has just happened.
So, Madam, we're really talking about, have you experienced any sexism, gender bias when it comes to being a female working, trying to in politics? Have you experienced any of that? I don't know. I can't say it right. Have you experienced any form of gender bias as a woman? Have you thought that, if I was a man, he probably wouldn't have said that to me?
You bet I have. I mean, tons of them. Especially, not America, but running for office in Liberia, or cultural society where people see politics as a male's domain, that this is not the place for a woman. You bet I've experienced so much of that. Sexism has been at the peak of our being. Some go as far as telling me, what you think you're doing? What do you want? What makes you think that you can be senator for Nimba, where men are? So not only that, they challenge my decision to run, but they also think that something got to be wrong with me to think that I can become, senator for Nimba County, where of course the protocol, this is supposed to be a men's game. And in that process, I've sustained so much abuse of all types. Verbal aggression has been at the peak of it all. We've had physical aggression to the extent that there have been threats to harm my person, like physical threats against me. I have had to not travel by night in many instances. So if I'm going somewhere, I've had to send a team ahead to ensure that everything is okay. And I've had to be conscious of what to say. And mind you, most of these sexist attacks have come from opponents. Our strength has always been with the voting population itself. So I'm being attacked by rivals who think man, and some have branded me as being very hard-headed, uncompromising. And that's not how a woman's supposed to be, as though a woman should be a certain way and men should be a certain way or behave a certain way. So I think what my insistence has done to my rivals, it has proven to them that no amount of abuse is going to make me to cave in or back out. And that's why they resorted to the say physical attacks, because they realized that verbal threats and all of that were. So yes, to answer your question, sexism is at the peak of our election in Liberia, especially when you are running for a public place that is highly contested by more of the male candidates.
So both of you guys, we've all heard this term.
Are you still hearing me?
Yep, we heard you. We heard you.
Are you still hearing me?
Yes, we are. We can still hear you. No, we heard you very clear.
Okay.
We heard everything you said. But I wanted to talk to you guys on this thing of, there is this thing that, I will do this, strong Black woman. And so there is a perception that Black women are supposed to be a certain way. And so if you're too loud, you become aggressive. If you are, if you talk a certain way, why is she trying to act like she's more educated? They have all these things about Black women that you literally have to. I told my sister, you need to get a book and write it down so you can meet those standards. But I ask you, both of you guys who are in front of the news, you're in front of the media, you're in front of people, there are people watching you. Has that affected you in any way or form?
And when you say, has it affected me as far as what?
As far as, have you ever had to sit down and watch and say, I need to watch what I say. I need to watch how I act, because I don't want these people to categorize me as the angry Black woman. I don't want them to categorize me as, I'm too loud because I'm a Black woman. Like all those little things that society has created. Has that affected you in any way in doing your?
Yeah, I would say yes. I mean, I think that, you always have to be conscious of how you present yourself and how you come across. Going into the house, like I said, there's 65 different people, but what I do see is that you can be yourself. You just have to find that best version of yourself, and whatever you present, make sure, of course, it has to be right, and whatever right is right for you, right? So that you're able to, I mean, of course, you want to get along with people, you want to be liked. But I think for me, being real, being genuine, and being, yourself. So if you don't want to talk, you don't have to talk. I mean, it's not like you have to walk to somebody else's script. You script the way that you want to present yourself and how you show up there. That's important. Some people love to talk, and they're always up there in the well talking. Others, I think, yeah. But I think as a woman or as a politician, it's about image, right? It's about image, and sometimes people define you based on that one image. You could see like a picture of somebody. Oh, I saw, whatever. Did you see that? Whatever that is. People will always say, but I think it is about being true to yourself. Come and being genuine. I mean, I'm genuine. I really do love people and like talking and helping people. So that's what comes across. So, but it's up to you to present that image. But yeah, I think all of that stuff plays in your mind as you go out there and you step out there on how you want to look, how you want to be perceived, how you want people to receive you. So.
Madam Gongloe-Weh, has there any, is there instances where, you trying to fit into this stereotype of not being the angry Black woman, so you watch what you say, how you carry yourself around so that you can, conduct yourself in a certain way so that people don't stereotype you based on their thought process? Can you hear us? Oops. Well.
Is that me?
Yes, that was you.
Edwin?
Yep, I was asking
Hello?
you. Yeah, can you hear me?
Are you hearing me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes. So, but in our case, we do not have that characterization of angry Black woman, because of course we live in a predominantly Black culture. The only thing that I think resembles that is that traditionally and culturally, our society has carved a place for women. Traditionally, that women are supposed to be the ones in the kitchen and taking care of the children, and men are supposed to be the ones in the public spaces and talking public matters. So for a woman like myself, in my case, tries to get out there in the public space, they see you as a woman who's trying to act like a man. It's not necessarily an angry Black woman, but it's more so a woman who is trying to be a man.
Wow.
And I have been able to fight that. Is to just be genuine and committed to those issues that I know not just appeal to me, but appeal to the vast majority of the population. And not going solo at it, but seeing myself as an advocate that is standing in the gap, and the majority of those who may not have the voice or the platform to speak for themselves individually. Over time, both men and women have come to see that, oh, she's genuine. And once the people realize that you're truthfully genuine to not just yourself, but to the issues that you're talking about in the public space, then they realize that this is time, not just her. So I think it has helped over the years to minimize some of the judgments that women face in politics in our part of the world. They're not judging me now as a woman who is trying to act like a man. They're saying now to me, this is a partner. This is someone who sees our situation and genuinely wants to help. So we got to let her. So I've gotten support that way. And over time, my support has grown because over time, the church who have come across me, has been convinced as to where my heart is, and genuinely where my heart is in throwing myself into politics.
Awesome. But Representative Ricks, now this question is directed to you. So, as great as your platform is, I mean, everything is going on great. Are there any policies or legislature that you are working on that can empower other young women to follow your footsteps?
Yeah, and I thank you for that question. Yeah, I think it is important that we have people come after us, right? And of course, I didn't set out to be the first immigrant and then the last immigrant. We have to have other people. So exactly. I have made recommendations for a couple women who are now going through the same Emerge program that I graduated from, which is a political training program for women, and then. I also am working on a program that will start to look at people who want to run for office. I think that there's many Naquettas out there and Ediths out there that, do aspire to, who want to run. And I think, doing some type of political training across like the states. And I would love to do something in Liberia too when I do go, to kind of just engage with young women, but then also like the politicians that are there now on the ground. We don't, and Edith makes a great point. We don't have that many women in like state legislature or Senate there. You got that rare person, and it shouldn't be. I think that when women lead, we bring a different type of leadership than the men do, and it's important that the young women are. But one of the things too, I think that also would help women is the fact that we want them, I think what stops them is maybe a lack of education, right? If you don't feel like you have the confidence to step out there and speak. So one of the things my foundation is doing in Liberia is to try to empower women and youth. And that's through like education, and just literacy. 1/3 of the women can read, 2/3 of the women cannot, are illiterate. So we start there by empowering women. I mean, it's important, when you see the men talking, they're so confident, and they have all this stuff to say. And only a few women, kind of step up to the plate that way with that confidence and speak, with using all the, what we call the big English, talking and stuff, And so I want to see women, with that confidence stepping out there. And not to say that you have to have the most education, but I think it does help to be able to formulate your thoughts and how you present yourself. So all of that stuff is important for young women and people who want to engage in politics, and not just politics, but anything that we're trying to do in life, because there's so many other things to do, right? That whether you want to be a doctor, you want to be a lawyer, you want to be that singer, creator, artist, whatever that is. There's so much that we can do. So yeah, I think, we definitely have some programs that we're working on to see if we can put something together. I've also engaged with the brother from Rhode Island, who also won, as a state representative too. And so I think we're all trying to come together. And Wilma Collins, who's the mayor of where is he? Montana. Yeah. So, or Helena, Montana. Yeah. So, we want to put things together that we can do, like a program that can help aspiring people who want to be in politics. I think that's really is important to give back that way.
Extremely important. And I say this, I tell people all the time, I am my sister keeper. Mm-hmm. I have one sister and I have two brothers, and I love my sister. And so my sister, as we are getting older, our parents are getting older. And so we were in a conversation where we were working on some plans for my dad. And I could tell in my sister's voice that it wasn't settling well for her. So after we got a Zoom call, I called her. I'm like, what's going on? And she said, I feel that because I'm a woman, you guys aren't listening to me. And she goes off. And I let her express herself. I'm like, Lord, let me tell you something. I said, if you ever feel that because you are a woman and your voice is not being heard when we're having a conversation, you need to hold me accountable for that. I am going to take this responsibility for you to never feel that way. Because I feel that as African descent, Black American, whoever we are, we need to understand that our mothers, our sisters, and our aunties, our cousins, whoever they are, their voices are important, just as us the males. And so with that being said, I'm going to go to you, Madam Edith Gongloe-We, and I have a special question for you. I want to talk about Madam Boto Kane, who I felt literally was bullied, beaten, and literally embarrassed. And I couldn't understand in 2020 this was happening. But I want to ask you personally, is there any legislation, any policy around that happened that can never happen again?
It's good that you asked about Boto Kane. We all had terrible experiences in the past elections, especially from our male counterparts. But Boto Kane's case was even worse compared to all of us females that were in the election. Given that experience, we believe that what needs to happen is to have a legislation that makes the playing field fair, transparent, but more so, I even think in light of something similar to like having a legislation that will provide resources for women. And the reason why I said this is because most of the problems that women have faced in election process in our country, they are largely due to lack of the resources, lack of logistical support that sometimes the men who have the money take advantage of and push us to the curb. So I think when we have a situation where women can be able to access funding, can be able to access resources, it will help us it will help the women to confront some of these challenges head on. I think some sort of like affirmative action, for lack of a better word to put it, maybe an affirmative action that gives women some opportunity to be able to compete with will help. In the House right now, in the legislature, both the Senate and the lower house, there has been an attempt to pass this bill. Not just the quota bill that ensures that women have 30%, but some have stepped it further. That it has to not just be, left to political parties to decide. It has to be a law that makes it mandatory that you don't just bring the women to the polls, or you don't just bring them as candidates, but you support them as well with the needed resources to be able to compete with the men in the field. I think if that is passed, it's going to help women to play some catch up. Because in Liberia, women are like the minority of the minority in both houses. Right now in the Senate, you have just 2 women out of 10, 30 senators. And in the lower house, you have, I think, about 6 or so. Total women in the legislature should be around, I think, 8 women. It doesn't augur well for the country, because we all know that when women and men work together, society gets even better. When women are in legislature, quality of education improves, healthcare services even improve, food security gets better, even infrastructure. Because there are things that men may know better that women may not know, and there are things that women could do better that men may not have the ability to do, or may just not have that sensitivity to. So it's better for both sexes to work together for the growth and development of society, especially our society that is still playing catch up in almost every area. When one group is marginalized or feels marginalized, that society is going to get nowhere, because no amount of marginalization and exclusion can help any society. It serves as a recipe for chaos, and that's what's happening in Liberia. So I think the best way to do that is to go through the legislation that ensures not just participation, but exclusive participation to ensure that we have more women in the house. And to end, one of the surest way as well is when that bill is passed and we can have a lot more women in the legislature, it will now become clear to those who think that we cannot play this role to realize that there's no way you can budget women out of the public space. And I think it will help to minimize the kinds of threats and experiences, horrible experiences that we continue to have when we try to participate in election.
Thank you so much. And it's been a great time. But before we go, I got one final question for both of you. And so, Representative Ricks, if there is a young girl or young woman, whoever is listening, what is it that you would like for them to hear from this podcast coming from you?
I would say to that young girl, hey, that is great. It's a great time to be a woman. It's a great time right now to be alive. And depending on what your situation and your circumstance, continue to do well and excel in whatever it is that you are. So if you're in Liberia and you're saying, well, I'm in school, do well at that place where you are, because those grades can take you into, a college. Those grades can take you if you are, you have a talent of playing soccer, develop that skill, to the top of your ability. Be the best in whatever your situation is, and come and work with the spirit of excellence. I think that pays off. That's what makes people notice, right? If you have talents or you have any kind of creativity, continue to work that and develop it to it's out to the top of your ability. I think it's always that, and never give up. Always look to see how you can make a difference wherever you are. Stand out. I think that the sky's the limit right now for women. Find out what's the trends. Like, for example, if you're able to get into like a field of science or technology, engineering, all of the different places where women have not traditionally been, or you don't see, I encourage you to explore all of those different opportunities, and see what's there. Because they say, success happens when opportunity and preparation meets, so you always want to continue to go out there and put out your best foot forward. Don't give up, don't despair. And if you fall down, pick yourself up and keep working hard. That's it. I mean, just keep working. Don't ever give up. Look for people too who you admire to mentor you, right? It is important to have role models and people that you feel that can give you advice, so that you have like-minded people and trusted voices that are pouring into you. And then, of course, I would say pray. Pray, because with God you can do all things, and nothing is impossible with him. So, and yeah, that's what I would say.
And Auntie Edith, I'm gonna say Auntie Edith. They're a young girl, a woman, whoever is watching. What do you want them to get from this podcast? What do you want them to get from this?
The first thing I want to tell any young woman or young girl is to just believe in themselves, because everything starts with oneself. If you believe in yourself and build that confidence and trust that there's nothing that you can do, and not allow people to define who you are, it helps and it goes a long way. Because most of the time, people outside of themselves. I mean, I'm not saying it's not good to be validated by other people, but it is always good to trust who you are first. And then whatever others tell you can just be an addition to what you know you are. And so my first advice to any young woman or any young girl, and allow people to pull them down. The second thing that I would say to them is always go with your gut feeling. Because sometimes the tendency to be indecisive, like, oh, I wonder I should do this or I shouldn't do this, indecisive can sometimes cause disruption in one's goals. If you want to learn anything, to learn to be decisive and goal oriented. What is it that you want in life? What is it that you want to get out of private and public life? You have to make that decision. And when you make that decision, go with your gut's feelings and stick to it. That would be my advice.
Well, I'm going to say thank you to you both. You guys have been amazing. I have learned so much. And this was the conversation that I've been waiting for. Representative Ricks, I appreciate you. I'm going to be coming to Colorado. I told you my niece goes to Colorado State, so I'm going to be coming there. And I just want to have a conversation with you off air, because I really want to have a real conversation. And say, Edith, I'm going to drive to Philly. I'm coming to Philly. I'm going to have a real conversation. But I want to say thank you to you both. This was amazing. The idea of this was
Tom, there's a room for you.
There you go. That was the conversation, is to have conversation for people to understand that Black women, African women, women of African descent, whatever women of whatever skin color have a seat at the table. And I love this. I appreciate you guys. I say thank you. And we here at The Conversation, we say keep on doing what you're doing because we're behind you 100%. And so I said thank you for joining us. And we are going to say bye to you both. This has been great. And I'll see you another time. Okay, guys, so this was The Conversation, Outspoken Opinionator. Of course, I am your host, Edwin Maya. I had Madam Edith Gongloe-Weh and Representative Naquetta Ricks from the state of Colorado in the United States. It was an amazing time. I am literally out. So I'll see you guys next week, Thursday. It's going to be lit. Get ready.